And the Falcon 9 has cleared the lightning towers. Falcon 9 is now pitching downrange. Looks like the Falcon 9 is going in and out of the cloud from our vantage point at the Kennedy Space Center. It all appears to be proceeding smoothly on the ascent of the vehicle. It's like we might be losing our view of the vehicle in the cloud here. Here's a view coming from an onboard camera. This is SpaceX's webcast. This comes with some delay. About a minute left in the flight of the first stage as it ascends. First stage will then separate and begin its descent to a drone ship in the Atlantic, leaving the second stage to continue the journey to orbit. Spectacular views of the curvature of the Earth as the Falcon 9 climbs skyward. You can see the thin blue atmosphere of Earth in this shot. Coming up on stage separation. There we have stage separation. An ignition of the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage of the Falcon 9. On the left side of your screen, you can see the Falcon 9 first stage extending its grid fins, which will help guide it back to the drone ship in the Atlantic. And on the right side, you're seeing the second stage motor firing, the nozzle now glowing red hot, coming up on separation of the fairing that is protecting the two satellites.
Now, T+5 minutes. This is Stephen Clark once again reporting live from Kennedy Space Center. We had a spectacular launch, at least audio-wise. We had a very loud launch, a very nice rumble from the Merlin engines as the rocket climbed off the pad, heading to space with O3B mPower 3 and 4 on board. The rocket is now, the upper stage is now accelerating past 13,300 kilometers per hour, while the first stage has reached its apogee or high point of its ballistic arc and now is descending back toward the drone ship. Just read the instructions. About 400 miles or 600 kilometers downrange from Cape Canaveral. This is beginning about a 2-hour mission for the Falcon 9. Reports from SpaceX that the vehicles, both stages, are on nominal trajectories. This is beginning about a 2-hour flight from liftoff until payload deployment. When the Falcon 9 will put these satellites in the orbit they need to be in to continue and complete their missions. The next milestone, there we go, confirmation from SpaceX Launch Control that entry burn is now underway. 3 engines firing on the first stage to begin slowing the rocket for its descent back into the atmosphere. This helps reduce the speed and aerodynamic loads on the vehicle as it heads back into the thicker layers of the atmosphere. The video we're seeing from SpaceX, as usual, comes with a bit of a lag. They transmit their video over YouTube exclusively, so that comes with a bit of latency. So we're hearing some audio calls before we're seeing the visual of the entry burn. The entry burn already is complete. We're still seeing that underway in video. And there's entry burn shut down in the video from the rocket cam on stage 1. Here's a map showing stage 1 on its descent, having reached its apogee on that arc, heading toward the drone ship. Stage 2 continuing into orbit, accelerating to orbital velocity. The blue line here shows its trajectory if the engine were to shut down on stage 2. Right now you can see that line moving across the Atlantic as it's gaining velocity. Stage 1 now below the speed of sound on its descent. We don't have any live video from the first stage right now. We hope to get that back from SpaceX momentarily as it nears landing. There's confirmation of second stage engine cutoff. Second stage is in orbit. Great view here of the grid fins screaming through the atmosphere there. Some condensation, some vapor cone pouring over those grid fins as it heads down toward the drone ship. Now 1,000 kilometers per hour, 600 miles an hour roughly, and decelerating. We're hearing these calls before we see these actions in video. Landing burn now underway. Grid fins now in motion to help steer the rocket toward landing on the drone ship. Landing leg deploy. And there's touchdown, booster 1078 on the deck of the drone ship. Just read the instructions. This completes the second flight to space for this particular booster after its debut last month. Great shot there of the booster on the deck of the drone ship, rolling in the waves of the Atlantic Ocean about 400 miles east of Florida Space Coast. Meanwhile, we heard a confirmation